Today I want to start talking in today's shiur about getting into the kitchen more. Let's talk about the pots and pans and meat and milk in the kitchen, the mixing of meat and milk. The Torah tells us, Lo tivashel gdi b'chalav imo. You're not allowed to cook a kid goat, in the milk of its mother. The Torah tells us this 3 times. It doesn't suffice with telling us this issa once. It tells us 3 times. Why does it tell us this 3 times? The reason why it says it 3 times is because there are 3 separate isurim, 3 separate aveiros involved here. One is that we shouldn't eat meat and milk together. The second is that we shouldn't cook meat and milk together. And the third is that we shouldn't get any benefit from meat or milk that was cooked together. Not to eat meat and milk together, we all understand. Not to eat together meat and milk that was cooked together. That's the Issa D'Oraisa, according to the Torah. Not to cook meat and milk together, that would mean that if you get a job in a non-Jewish restaurant and they're asking you to just cook the meat and milk together, that also you shouldn't do. That's a non-kosher job. The third is not to get any benefit from it. That means if someone gives you a cheeseburger, you can't throw it to your dog. Because by throwing it to your dog, you're getting benefit. You're saving a meal that you'd have to feed him. Those are the 3 isurim that Chazal told us, that the Torah tells us, that we have with connection to meat and milk. The Torah tells us here, the Pasuk says, you're not allowed to cook the 2 together. What about if you soak the 2 together? Soaking the 2 together is what's called an issa d'Rabbanan. If you were to put meat in cold meat in cold milk and leave it there for 24 hours, it's considered as if you cooked the 2 together. It's like the process of pickling, kovush, what we call it in Hebrew. But cooking generally means that it was above a temperature of 45 degrees centigrade. Once you've passed that temperature of 45 degrees centigrade, what we call yad soledit bo, that means the heat that would burn your hand, that is considered as you're cooking the things together. We have another rule in kashrus, which we're going to have to bring in here, which is called tam ke'ikar. The taste, the tam, is like the ikar, it's like the thing itself. The taste of the milk is like milk. The taste of the meat is like meat. What does that mean? If you have a pot that you have cooked milk in, you boiled milk in, the pot itself is going to absorb the taste of the milk. So after you've cleaned out that pot and you've scrubbed it and washed it and there's not a trace of milk left in that pot, nevertheless there is still milk. The taste of milk is absorbed in the sides of that pot. That taste of milk is like the milk itself. So if I now cook meat in that same pot, and the meat gets to a temperature of over 45 degrees centigrade, the taste of the milk is now going to come out from the sides of that pot and go into the meat that is cooking in that milky pot. And what's it going to do? Seeing as tam ke'ikar, the taste is like the thing itself, it's as if I cooked meat and milk together in that pot. It's exactly like I cooked meat itself with milk itself inside that pot, and therefore the food that I've cooked there is treif. It's meat and milk cooked together, unless I have 60 times the amount of milk that was absorbed in the side of the pot, which is something that I explained in the previous shiur is not possible. Mathematically, you can't have that the volume of the pot inside the pot is going to be 60 times the volume of the metal around the pot. It may be possible, but it's certainly very, very rare. We don't need to worry that that's what happened. So we can always presume that you didn't have 60, and therefore the food inside is going to be treif. It's going to be milk and meat that was cooked together. This, of course, works the other way around as well. It doesn't make any difference whether it's a meaty pot or a milky pot. So the outcome of cooking meat in a milky pot is going to be that the meat that was cooked inside is also to eat. It's meat and milk together. And now the pot itself has absorbed the meat and milk that was cooked inside the pot. And so now the pot itself is going to be absorbed with the taste of treif, the taste of meat and milk together. And the third outcome that's going to be here is that person that cooked that, seeing as he cooked meat and milk together, as I said, Lo tevashel gedi b'chalav imo is told to us 3 times to say that there's an issur of just cooking it together. That person did an issur d'oraisa of cooking meat and milk together because tam ke'ikar, the taste is like the thing itself. Does this always apply? No, it doesn't. Let's now say when it doesn't apply. Chazal told us that this taste of milk that's absorbed in the milky pot, the first time I buy a new pot and I boil milk in it, it's going to be a milky pot for me. That taste of milk that's absorbed into the sides of the pot only stays fresh for 24 hours. After 24 hours, that taste of milk that's absorbed in my pot becomes stale. It becomes what we call pagum. Once it's pagum, it is no longer milk. It's a stale taste of milk. It's not milk anymore. When it's fresh, at the time it's fresh, within 24 hours, it's considered as milk itself. And if I cook any meat in it, then I'm trafing up the meat. But once the taste has been there for 24 hours, and it's now a stale taste, it's a pogum taste, it's not considered as milk anymore, and it will not osser any meat that was cooked in it. This thing of a 24 hours that the taste becomes a stale taste only applies to taste that's absorbed inside a pot or a knife or a spoon. We'll speak later on about knives and spoons. But it does not apply to food that absorbed treif, that absorbed milk. Right? If food absorbed milk, if milk was poured on a schnitzel or something while it was hot and it absorbed the taste of that milk, then we don't say that after 24 hours the taste has become a stale taste. Right? This is a rule that only applies to pots and pans and utensils in the kitchen. Only with them do we say that after 24 hours the taste becomes a stale taste. So what does that mean now? If we say that the taste of the milk, my milky pot, once 24 hours have passed, the taste that's absorbed inside it is no longer a taste of milk. So that means I can use my milky pot after 24 hours to cook meat, chicken soup in. And there should be no problem. Can I do that? No, I can't do that. The reason why I can't do that is because Chazal said if you start doing that, you're going to make a real mess of your kitchen. It's just not going to be possible for you to control in a kitchen which is run like that. That you're going to use a milky pot that was within 24 hours, you can't cook the chicken soup in it. But once the 24 hours have passed, then you can cook chicken soup in it. It's not possible to run a Jewish kitchen like that, and therefore Chazal said that you are not allowed to use a milky pot even after 24 hours have passed, even after what we called an Eino Ben Yomo, that means 24 hours have passed. Even then you're not allowed to use it for the other type, whether it's meat or milk. You're not allowed to use it to cook meat, to cook your chicken soup in it. Because you're going to mess up your kitchen. It's just not going to be possible. But if you did, by mistake, use that milky pot to cook meat in, seeing as the taste of milk is not there anymore, so the meat, the chicken soup that you cooked in this milky pot, after 24 hours, when it's an Eina Ben Yomo, does not become osser. It does not become osser, and you can drink that chicken soup. But what about the pot? And that's all b'di'evid, right? Let me emphasize again, this is only a b'di'evid halacha. If you, by mistake, you took your milky pot after 24 hours have passed from the last time that you used it, and you were to cook chicken soup in that pot, so the chicken soup does not become osser. But we have a problem with the pot. What's the problem with the pot? What are we going to do with this pot now? We can't use it for either basar or halav. We can't use it for either meat or for milk. Why can't we use it for milk? Because it's now freshly absorbed the taste of the meat that was cooked in it. So it certainly can't be used for milk. Can it be used for meat? It can't be used for meat because we said that we don't want to start mixing up our kalim, our utensils, because it's going to cause a mess in the kitchen. So we can't use it either for meat or for milk. So what do we have to do with the pot? We have to kosher the pot. The way we kosher the pot is we do hagalah. Hagalah means that we would put it in boiling water. It's a process that maybe we'll talk about in a later shir, exactly how you kosher a pot. This pot needs to be put aside now for koshering. It's interesting that what about if you were to use that pot now? Remember, we're talking about a pot. It was a milky pot that was used after more than 24 hours ago, and you now cooked meat in it by mistake, that we said the meat is kosher, and I said there's nothing you can use the pot for, therefore you have to kosher it. What about cooking parva in it? What if you want to boil potatoes in it and make parv mashed potatoes? Are you allowed to use it for that? So strictly speaking, you would be able to do that. There's a principle here called not bar not, which we have to explain later, that the parv thing that I cooked in a meaty pot does not become meaty. I can't eat it together with milk, but I don't have to wait after I've eaten it 6 hours. So strictly speaking, you would be able to cook parv in this pot now, because what's absorbed in the pot is meat and not treif, because more than 24 hours have passed. But the custom is that we don't do that. We don't use this pot for anything. This pot that was mixed is now put aside, and we do hagalah on it. Just let me finish off this with one rule about the 24-hour period. If you remember, I said within 24 hours, we call this pot a ben yomo. After 24 hours of it last being used, it's an eino ben yomo. Once it's an eino ben yomo, it's now, strictly speaking, not what it is. A milky pot, after 24 hours, is now no longer considered as milky. We don't use it for meat because we're going to get mixed up. But it's not considered as meaty, as milky. After 24 hours, it becomes an eino ben yomo. Right? It becomes an eino ben yomo. And the taste that's absorbed has become stale. It's become a tam that's pagum, and it's not going to treif up any meat that I mistakenly cooked inside that pot. But what's going to be actually, how are we going to actually keep count of this? How are we going to keep track of this? Of whether we used pots within 24 hours or didn't use them within 24 hours. So if we know, then we know. Then that's fine. And we go after what we know. Did we use it within 24 hours or did we not use it? But if we don't know, right, in your kitchen you don't know, you haven't kept track of which pot you used when. So in a private kitchen, you can presume that every pot is an eino ben yomo. It was not used within the last 24 hours. But if you're in a hotel or in a restaurant or in any other industrial kitchen, there we presume that everything is a ben yomo if we don't know to the contrary. And this is a question about whether a pot is a ben yomo or an eino ben yomo is a very important question, because whenever you have a question of kashrus with pots in your kitchen and you go to ask the rabbi, what am I supposed to do? The first question he's going to ask you is, was the pot a ben yomo or was it an eino ben yomo? So whether you're the housewife or you're baal habayit, you're always going to need to know when any question arises, right? That's going to be the first question that the rabbi is going to have to ask you when he wants to paskin whether the pot is kosher or not kosher, whether the food is kosher or not kosher. Was the pot a ben yomo or was it an eino ben yomo? Thank you. That's enough for today.